All right, I'm here at Juan's place. We just had about 65, 70 people listen to Deborah Tavares, myself, and several other people speak. And people have come from as far away from Arizona. Kate from Arizona flew here just to be with us. But right now I'm very honored to have two people that have come down from Paradise to be with us today. And they've got their stories to tell. And one is Sasha and the other is Matt. Thank you, guys. And we were talking earlier because I was up there 2 days ago and have been up there, I think, 6 times now. And a lot of what we're calling anomalies or whatever's happening, you guys were concurring a lot with that. One of the big revelations was that PG&E had been there previously, or
I would say about 3 months before, roughly. I don't remember, but they've been there for a while, for sure.
And Matt, your experience is with cell phones, and you live above Paradise, so you know the area very well.
Yeah, I've been there for 25 years.
25 years.
Yes.
And when you started seeing PG&E station, were they setting up that camp below Skyway when you first saw them? Were they there?
Yes. Yeah, they were there probably 3 months or so before. Initially, it was probably around 2,000 people, I would say, but I've spoke with people that work there, and they say there's about 30,000 people there currently.
Okay, so do you know where the government got the number 52,000 people that evacuated?
I believe when they say that, they're talking about Magalia, Paradise, Forest Ranch, and Concal, because those were kind of the areas affected, essentially.
Were those areas affected as much as Paradise?
Definitely not. Paradise, by far the worst. Concal got it very bad as well. Forest Ranch, a little bit, and about 50% of Magalia is gone, pretty much.
And how much of Paradise is gone?
I would say 95. People have been saying 85, but I just don't see it. There's basically a parts store open in town, and that's it, as far as I know. But new businesses open occasionally.
So what was PG&E doing there before the event, do you know?
Clearing lines and setting new poles, repairing old poles, stuff like that. They were doing the 50 feet from the lines. If any tree could fall and make contact with the lines, it was taken out. So if it's a 100-foot tall tree that's 95 feet away, they're taking it out.
And that was along Skyway? And
that was everywhere.
In town, too?
That was Butte County.
All of Butte County?
Pretty much.
So, but they were stationed at the bottom of Paradise?
Yes, initially.
And I noticed a bunch of white trucks without names on them. And we also know that there were militarized police that were around there. And the day of the event, most people are testifying that the fire trucks did not show up the day of the event.
6 hours or 8 hours into it, once everyone was gone, potentially, and the next day, yes, for sure. But from what I understand, and firefighters I've spoken with, most had to come from Redding, Corning, Sacramento, etc. So it took 2 hours for them to even get on scene.
Chico Fire Department?
I don't think so. Maybe, as far as I know, no.
So when they were evacuating, there was Skyway was only one lane was open.
Yes.
Diet lanes. There was 5 lanes that were reduced down to 2. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So Paradise City Council passed. It's probably been about 2 years now. Someone got hit in a crosswalk, and so they passed a resolution or whatever. It got the funding to beautify and they wanted to slow down the traffic in Paradise to increase commerce at the stores along Paradise. And they were essentially confronted by, I believe it was the Fire Safety Review Board. It's a federal agency that deals with fire safety on the town level, essentially. I forget the exact organization, but they were telling Paradise, this is a death trap. What you're making is a death trap, and you're going to kill people. So people are currently actually suing the town of Paradise over that because they were trapped.
They had evacuation drills in 2017.
Yes. Most people didn't participate. I didn't participate. I didn't even know what was going on.
But it's a good way to get how everybody's going to get out. You
exactly.
Get the whole testing going ahead of time. If you're a conspiracy theorist, don't talk at all.
Yes.
But again, if nobody knew that the drill was happening, and only a small subset of people knew that that drill was happening and thus showed up. And it looks like, oh, there's plenty of room on this road for everybody, and you only got 4% turnout, but you don't realize that or you don't care. It looks successful as an evacuation plan, correct?
Right.
So if nobody knew the drill was happening and a small trickle of people got out just fine because nobody else was in the drill, then it looks successful, does it not?
Well, they can claim it.
So, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm just kind
Yeah,
of
no,
posing
definitely.
that.
That's what happened. And I heard there's an app called like Red Flag Awareness or something of that sort where you could sign up and be alerted for fires and stuff like that. And they told everybody in Butte County that they had to sign up. Everyone was supposed to have this app installed.
How long ago was that?
Maybe a year or two ago or something like that.
And you're in the cell phone business, so you're aware when they send alerts to you.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I heard Supervisor Teeter say 2% were signed up in Butte County. 2% of Butte County was signed up, and it was something like 0.5% of those people actually received a notification on
1/2 of 2%. So that's what everybody said. I signed up for the service
Yes.
and I never got notified.
When did he say that?
Who? Teeter? It was at one of the town meetings.
After the fire.
Yeah, after the fire. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were saying, and others are corroborating that before the event, a couple days before, PG&E gave warnings that they're going to shut off
Yes,
your power.
I got called every day, twice a day, for the 4 days leading up to the fire, and then they even said they were going to turn off the power that morning. But then everyone raised a stink because we have a lot of elderly up there regarding that they need power for oxygen machines and CPAP, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a big stink, and they didn't turn the power off.
And the morning of, you were going to work, so you were down the hill already?
So, no, a friend came to my house, okay, and said, there's a fire, we gotta go. And I said,
What time in the morning, maybe?
Probably 7:30.
So 6:30 campfire program starts officially storing.
Yeah. Houses in Paradise on fire at 7:30.
Which is 40-30 miles away.
Yeah, I called a friend in the southwest. Yeah, the southwest corner of Paradise. That's kind of where it initially blew in, near the hospital, et cetera, et cetera. And their house was already on fire at 7:30 in the morning.
You saw that?
I spoke with them on the telephone.
Gotcha.
I called him, do you need help?
Gotcha.
Because he's got older parents, a bunch of animals, et cetera, et cetera. A farm, pretty much. And he's, no, go, just leave now, go, and hung up. And I was like, whoa. And so I started going down Skyway, and I got maybe 50% of the way through Magalia, and I got to a gas station. And there was a line to get gas and works and stuff like that. People had to replant their own lots up there.
Really?
Yeah, if you wanted trees to come back on your lot, you needed to go and replant your own lot. Otherwise,
they weren't reseeding anything.
No, otherwise it's just scrublands.
All right, so what are they doing with the trees? Why are they clear-cutting all the trees on 70 on Pence Road? You and I have been talking about this. I showed you the video.
Yeah, it's hard to pin it down. Yeah, it's hard to pin it down. People are complaining because they're coming back to Paradise finally because they were evacuated, and a lot of people left to Oregon and Idaho, and I've heard Kentucky and Tennessee, and all kinds. They're gone. Most people left, and so they're coming back to check it out, etc. And they come back, and in their driveway is 50 trees stacked up in logs, a giant pyramid of logs. Without their permission, and they cut down every tree on their lot, and they're letting them have it. I can tell you that. That's kind of good. There's going to be a lot of free firewood up there, but besides that, I couldn't put my thumb on it.
But the trees will come back because the fire just burned to the bird show. It didn't burn anywhere near the actual tree itself. The cambium is fine. These trees will grow right back.
They were cutting down green trees post-fire. Green trees.
Brand good,
yes,
untouched,
unburned trees. Not just the 20 feet up trees, but unburned as well. So everything. Yeah, they're taking out everything. I keep telling people it's weird to see. We don't get to see up there because there was so many trees.
Right.
You couldn't see past the road you were on.
Right.
Now I can see the other road across town, and it's very strange to be able to see up there.
Yeah, and that's what I was noticing too. Is like it opens everything up.
Yes.
So let's say I'm moving into a new area. The first thing you put in is the roadways.
Yes.
Then you put in the piping.
Yes.
Then you put in the wiring, and then you clean the roads. And what are they doing? We see from the very beginning. They're cleaning the roads.
They were doing it last night.
And we talked about this, about the dust. And this is what I saw in Chico as well. There's a big issue about keeping the dust down. They don't want the dust to get up for some, and they're very, very intense. And this was before the fires too, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that a little bit.
So initially we were told 6 months. No blowing, no sweeping, no nothing.
Like leaf blowing with your leaf blower?
No leaf blowing.
Told by
No
who?
OES, county supervisor, LaMalfa indirectly. That's our congressman up there.
Gotcha.
And Teeter is our county supervisor. Teeter's been extremely helpful. He's got his heart in the right place for sure, which that's been like, thank goodness.
Right,
we have at least 1 or 2 people that are like helping the community and whatnot.
Is anybody that you know of? Have you ever heard of anybody taking like getting evidence, collecting soil samples, collecting it?
Yeah, people are doing that right now.
They're doing that themselves.
Right
They're
now.
not.
That's pretty big on Facebook.
Collect the
that's another
evidence
thing.
kind of thing.
Yeah. On the day and the following days, the only way to get information was Facebook. Thank goodness for these silly groups where people rant and rave.
People said the only reason they got out was because Facebook notified them, and all other services said stay in place.
Yes. It was silly groups where people complain about local restaurants that saved people's lives. It was the craziest
But
thing
it's
ever.
not Facebook's notifying you, it's the people that
It was the
Well,
people.
the vehicle is Facebook. Yeah. But still, the social media, you're not getting, like same thing happened in Santa Rosa. You know, they have the Nexel and all these signups. They turned off, FEMA turned off the notification system. You know why they said they turned it off? They didn't want to create a panic of everybody having to leave.
I know, that's what they said about this as well. They could have done the, everyone got the presidential address. You know, so like I said, I work in the cell phone industry. That day was quite a day because I would say about 80 phones around me all went off with the presidential alert. So they definitely can do the presidential alert, and we definitely could have gotten a presidential alert.
You're talking the day when they tested with President everybody got
they could have done that to everyone in Butte County.
They didn't want to panic and make you guys get in traffic and have you stuck and couldn't get out. We don't want to cause that to happen. We're looking out for you.
Exactly. But that's a bunch of BS.
Yeah, I heard that from at one of the town meetings. We didn't want to have a gridlock. We were afraid of a gridlock, so people were not notified.
Yeah.
That was the decision made. And I can't remember who said that and what.
Which flies in the face of the evacuation plans they put in 2017.
Exactly.
And there was also another fire like back in 2014 that came through there.
And it burned up to the town and they stopped it. And again, that goes back to what I said on the morning. I'm going to work.
We've seen this movie.
I gotta go to work. I can't take a day off. You know.
What happened to your place?
My home. Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
So we actually didn't even lose anything in the fridge, as it were, because we were close to the CCC camp. It's not CCC anymore.
California Conservation Corp.
But it was CCC a long time ago.
Right.
It's technically a prison camp. Really? They don't like to talk about that, but we have a bunch of prisoners up there, a bunch. And that was a big stink about when they were trying to bring that in town, but they just, shoved it aside and let the prisoners come anyways. Mind you, only 300 or 400 yards from an elementary school. No big deal. No big deal.
They're probably used to do the timber harvest up there and everything.
Exactly, and basically clean everything. Because everything has to be cleaned almost every year.
Right.
The ground has to be scraped almost every year of pine needles, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone rakes up their whole yards and burns their whole yard, essentially, every year.
So the buildings that were left in Paradise, you said 80, 90%, 95% is gone. I saw what's left. Kmart.
Yeah.
Still fine.
But
completely torched next to it.
I heard Kmart isn't... The building is there, but inside is gone, is what I was told. I haven't even...
I'm going to get my drone and I'm going to fly above it and see, because that's where people were sheltered in place. So we went there and I tried to look in and they had it all blocked, and then they had the shopping carts.
Yes.
So you couldn't see through and you couldn't get in.
So again, a fire happening from the interior out.
Yeah.
Again, and this is that common
and this
thing.
may be where all the people were, and if that's the case, then the Kmart becomes a very big part of this. But not only that, he said the hospital up in Penn, the Adventist Hospital.
Yeah, it's there.
It's all there. It's fine, except for one apartment was torched.
Yeah,
the radiology.
And that's the old part, too.
But then everything around it is not.
Yeah.
And the radiology is what they use to test human frequencies.
Yep.
So here's the frequencies. If we're saying they used it to torch humans, and the radiology log, which is on the same frequencies, that got fried. And what else was standing? The Adventist Church. Oh, the Catholic Church is fine, but the Presbyterian and Protestant churches are torched.
The Baptist, the LDS, like there's so many churches up there.
Right, but look at what's left and look at what got hit.
I know.
Who's left of the churches?
The Masons.
The Masons, the Freemason
Catholics.
buildings there, the Catholics.
Yep.
I wanted to mention something that happened. I can't.
Okay.
I wanted to mention something. I was doing outreach and different kind of volunteer work in the aftermath of the events in Paradise. And one of the things I did is just talk to people. What was your experience? What happened up there? Kind of as you do, Jamie.
Right.
And one fellow was talking to me, and he was visibly uncomfortable talking about it. He said, I'm uncomfortable talking about this. I'm worried about saying stuff, and I'm worried about my family.
Large door, all vintage shit.
And this is completely torched here, just a side road off of Pence. But it's look at the green, folks. Look at all the green, and the house is gone. House is fine, front yard's gone. Here's a bunch of PG&E guys. Their house is fine. Or maybe they're working here. No. But again, we're seeing houses torched. That shed is fine. And across the street, this yellow house is fine with the American flag. I mean, we have the same scene happening. House is fine. House is torched. All within a few feet of each other. Again, we see the X's. What is that? It's an AF. It's an M, and then I can't understand what the other two are on the right there. O, maybe?
It's like 2 0.
2 zeros. And then again, green shrubbery, and again, torched. Same road. And the people that are still living here must be freaking out unless they know something. Again, the shed roof is okay, but the cars are torched. And again, across the street we go. Torched. Fine. Trailer. Home fine. Home's fine. All good. Lucky you. Everything's here and then torched in the back. See back there? I don't know how people can deal with this that are staying in these homes that have the houses torched next to them. It's kind of beyond the pale to understand how you would.
They have nowhere else to go.
And then knowing your neighbors were burned out and maybe killed, murdered. Here, what is these orange things on these trees here?
Get a picture of that flag.
And then we got the American flag tattered and torn. Yet the banner did wave. Well, if this doesn't kind of sum it up all nicely, first responders, because selfless isn't a job title, yet we have numerous saying they saw no fire trucks, no first responders coming to help them. And then we see the logs stacked up in the front of them, they're logging all this area, and then what do we see in the background? Torched out. I mean, are they putting this in our face or what? Unbelievable. So, I mean, these are real people's lives. Here's another marking they checked. This is on Pence, just turned off of somebody's tractor, little tractor destroyed. But this is what gets me, folks, is families here. These kids, I got one at my son's. Look at the strollers. These are people's lives destroyed. As far as you can see here. Children playing. Oh my gosh, look at this. They've come back and they set up a little chair here so they could have a little fire on their property. Huh. Had a bay after the big fire. A car in the background. Children playing here. Oh, lots of children here, man. We're here on Billy Road. It's about 2 in the afternoon. And this is a bike path going on Billy Road here in Paradise. It's all destroyed and all destroyed. Now, everybody to a person we've talked to up here have said it's the winds. The winds, the winds. You know, fire going downhill, you fires go uphill. It's the winds. But here's the bike path, and you can bet they haven't touched this bike path since the fires. And where's the debris all over the roads from all these trees, folks? 273 mile an hour winds that move so fast, they all say. This would be covered, littered. Dry timber. It'd been super dry, they said. Are you kidding me? The rains would come, but there would still be trees down. 270 miles an hour. All right, we're going through Kentucky Fried Chicken here to get something to eat. And what do we notice here? I'll have a McBarf and some GMOs, nanoparticulate matter. And it all melted. What do you guys want? I'm buying.
It's closed.
No, I'm buying. What do you want?
Oh, give me a chicken McNuggets.
Chicken McNuggets?
Wrong place. Never mind.
You want them fried? We're just getting filled. What are you guys putting in?
Fiber optics.
Wow, is that new? I mean, is that what's...
The whole everything's going fiber.
So why are the poles up then? Why are they doing the poles?
Fiber's up on top also.
Why so much?
All the houses that had copper are all gonna most likely are gonna have fiber now.
Wait, I was in Wall Street for 20 years, man. I worked on fibers back then. That's just got to hold some serious communication.
Oh yeah, it's gonna hold a big. Yeah.
How much communication?
The one's probably gonna hold that. I think it's an 862 fiber.
862 fiber. So is it coaxial? Is it all wrapped around each other?
No, it's still has glass.
Gotcha. And you guys have a central hookup you have to go to and deliver it to? They're doing the same thing in my neighborhood in Santa Rosa, and they got the big heavy fiber optics on the poles.
Right.
The poles are like sagging, and then they're doing this with another blue. What's the blue pipe?
I'm not sure what the blue pipe is.
They're doing two of them. They're doing an orange. What's orange? What is that, electricity?
Yeah, the orange goes underground, and then the black ones go in the air, so it doesn't look so ugly.
But every color, like gray is for electrical and white is for water. What is orange?
Blue is water.
What's orange?
Orange, this is
Fiber optic?
for fiber optics.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll buy next time, all right? Take care, man. All right, that was my new buddy Carlos, and right across the street is the Adventist Health Church. Isn't it beautiful? The Seventh-day Adventists have their church here. Isn't it beautiful? The hospice house is here. All fine and dandy, but we also know that the Adventist hospital up on Pence was left alone standing. But look across the street, folks. Torched. Across the street, Advent Hospital. Across the street, torched. Torched. At the end of the property of the Advent Hospital. Torched. Torched. Everywhere, torched. Except the Seventh-day Advents. Oh, now we're into yellow houses.
They could have definitely kept the gates open more previously.
And let more water out.
Yeah, at the very least, you know.
But what did they do about evacuating? They didn't evacuate everybody when it first got broke down. They waited till a whole day and a half later, and then at 12 noon, 1 o'clock, they said, okay, everybody leave, and they called for a mass evacuation. In the middle of the day, caused a mass traffic jam of everybody trying to get out.
Nobody could leave.
And nobody could leave. And same thing in Santa Rosa, shelter in place. Remember Boston? That's where the term shelter in place started, when two kids with pressure cookers put Boston under lock and key, with militarized police going around pointing guns at people's windows, saying you're not going anywhere.
Yep.
And then Hurricane Katrina, they're taking away people's guns. Here's the National Guard not helping people, taking away their guns. Right? So, wake up, people in the United States. We are under attack.
There's definitely a gun grab currently, too. Did you hear about the new legislation in Oregon?
No.
5-round magazine, max, and you can't buy more than 20 rounds. I believe it was a month, but it may have been at a time. There's no 5-round magazines. That's not a thing.
No, 10 or 12.
So there's no guns, basically, in Oregon at this passage.
Except single shots.
Yeah, exactly. Except like muzzle loading rifles.
Right. Not even a 6-shooter can work.
Exactly. So they're trying
to 6-shooters.
They're trying to take away all guns.
Well, the tow truck driver made a comment, which made both Deborah and I sit up when we were interviewing. Said, "Boy, they sure got rid of the gun problem, didn't they?"
Yep.
Right.
And I said,
"That's what I've been saying."
"What are you talking about?" And he goes, "They torched everybody, all the home. I mean, you think about a gun safe, and a lot of gun safes have super heat protection, right? Well, people, when you're leaving, what are you going to do? Especially if you're up in the areas that you're self-sufficient, you have guns, you're going to throw them in your car as you leave.
Yep.
They get the cars, they get the houses, the gun problem is solved.
Everything.
People with guns were told to leave them behind and run.
By who?
CHP.
Leave your guns behind.
Why would the CHP coming from 30, 50, 80 miles away be telling people to leave their guns?
Couldn't tell you. But I can also tell you, I know many, many people on the ridge that have 40, 50, 100, 200 secret rooms in their house. That's a whole room full of guns. Full and packed full of ammo. Apparently, that evening, as Paradise was burning, all you could hear was ammo going off and propane tanks exploding.
Okay, let's talk about that for a sec, because that's a big subject. Propane tanks. I went there, and everybody thinks that, or the story is, by a lot of people, that Paradise is all on septic, and that you all have independent propane tanks, when in fact, Paradise is gas connected.
Paradise is natural gas. Magalia is propane tanks.
So what got hit?
I couldn't tell
Paradise, the natural gas.
I know.
So there wasn't all propane tanks that exploded.
And
so then you go through the hazmat, where they went through with all the hazmat, and what do they have sitting with X's on them?
Tanks.
Propane tanks. They did not explode.
And so my firefighter friend said he saw them explode, but not how we're thinking. He was saying there's like a valve, it's a certain way, when it heats up, the valve gives off pressure, essentially, and then it's all releasing at once.
Right.
And that's what we were hearing. And I mean, I've thrown propane tanks in the fire personally and shot them. They don't blow up.
No,
propane tanks don't blow up.
I had a 450-gallon propane tank in my house in Tahoe to hit a mudslide. It disconnected from the gas, and I watched the gas spew out of the nozzle.
Yep.
And the propane tank went and hit a concrete barrier. I thought it was going to explode. It did nothing.
No, they don't explode. They were off venting, is what they call it.
Was exploding?
I couldn't tell you.
No, this people are saying they heard big booms.
Rocking their cars, rocking the ground.
Right.
So
here we have stuff on the roof raining down, and we have big-time explosions going on. From underneath. So this event was an engineered event. There's no doubt about it. And that these explosions were caused by some type of torching, some type of high energy that could flip cars on their roofs in Santa Rosa, that could torch cars down to the bone. stone, literally, around the rim tires, melt aluminum at 2,000, 2,500 degrees.
It's so crazy coming up to a car and the whole engine is a puddle that ran out from underneath the front of the car.
Yeah. The gas tanks are still in place.
I know. Yeah, it's weird.
When I was helping out at the Sears FEMA Center, I did talk to somebody who said, it was, I gotta figure out how to get this, how he said it. He said, I'm gonna have to rephrase it. Keep going on. I gotta get my thoughts together because we're going here.
So, are you talking to other people in your community about this? Can you talk to other people about this?
Yeah, personally, I've been very busy with work.
Right.
I had to miss 2 or 3 weeks of work because of this.
Right.
So, I got to pay my bills.
Right.
But besides that, on weekends when I can, I've been trying to help out one of the local churches. It's technically our community center. And I was speaking with the pastor and his wife. They're the only 2 people left out of like a 150-person congregation. Everyone else is left, is gone, out of state.
And they would know, they'd be in contact with these people that left. So maybe we can get in contact and find out if all their parishioners were accounted for.
Definitely can look into that for you.
We need to start doing that more and more with people that have contacts with people in Paradise to see, everybody got out, because I'm getting a lot of grief saying, there can't be tens of thousands of people that lost their lives that day. You don't have the number. I said, it's not mine to prove the number.
Yeah.
It's their number we're working from.
Personally, I don't know anyone that died. I can tell you that. But definitely a lot of people did. And, back to my firefighter friend, that was trapped there that day, he said there's a lot of dead people, a lot. And he said the rain washed it away and we'll never know. He said we'll be finding people for the next 5 years.
And once the other important part you brought up, Matt, was that when the combustion hit and the bodies, let's say, were charred and dustified, the rains made sure that there was no evidence.
Exactly.
That's what I say. My friend, so I wanted to tell you that
we're recording here, by the way. You want to add?
Yeah, I can tell you. My family friend is a locksmith, and he's been going up there. And if you want to get access to him, I'll try to let you meet with him. And the things that he took pictures of, like Ryder trucks burned out from the inside. Right. There's no scorching on the outside. If it burned from the inside, it didn't even show signs of fire on the outside.
Right.